A very good morning, students. Welcome back to online sessions on programming for problem solving course. In our previous session, we discussed algorithms, the characterization of algorithms. We said algorithms can be categorized into three, that is sequential, conditional based, and iterative based. So then after we discussed different examples like doing some basic arithmetic calculations and checking the temperature and uh, like calculating the bank interest. Then we've also gone through many different examples for algorithms. Okay, and in today's class, in today's session, we will discuss a new terminological term, that is pseudocode. So when we have seen the program development steps under this development stage, or under this planning stage, we were having the first thing, structure charts that we have covered, then algorithms and pseudocode. In that algorithms already we discussed, so we are going with this pseudocode now. So then we still left with flow charts that we do in our hopefully in our next session. So with the completion of this flow charts, we can go for the introduction to C programming, introduction to C language, we can say. So quickly, without much ado, I will start the pseudocode concept. So pseudocode, it is a more informal way of representing your algorithm. So when we are writing algorithms, we are taking in terms of steps, and also we are adding some mathematical statements whenever it is possible. We are adding some mathematical statements into the algorithm, isn't it? We are following a of course, we said it is not compulsory or it is not mandatory to follow any syntax or any rule when we are writing the algorithm, but even though we are doing the algorithm in a step by step approach, okay, with some mathematical notations. But when we are talking about this pseudocode, it is completely informal, or we can say it is a more descriptive way. It is a more descriptive way of analyzing the problem, or it is a bridge. It is a bridge between the algorithm as well as the uh, flowchart or program, whatever we have. Okay, so if you see the definition over here, we said it is English-like statement. So your algorithm is also English-like statements only that follow a loosely defined syntax. Your algorithm will also follow loosely defined syntax and are used to convey the design of an algorithm. So whatever we have taken inside the algorithm, if a person or if a programming language expert, if he is not understanding your algorithm means, then we have to go for pseudocode. Pseudocode, it is in it will be in more informal way, and it is going to have more description rather than simple steps and mathematical notations. Your pseudocode will have more description. So generally whenever we are writing some code or whenever we are developing some application, some project, uh, inside your documentation, for every single thing, for every single instruction, for every single line of code what we are writing, we have to document it. Because you might have seen, whenever we are purchasing something from the market, let us assume that I have purchased a television. So with that television, what I will get? I will get a user manual, isn't it? I will get a user manual. In that user manual, they are going to give all the instructions or all the steps how we can operate that television, isn't it? How we can operate that television from very starting point to, if you get any kind of troubleshooting stuff, how you can do that troubleshooting. If you get any kind of minor issues, those minor issues, how to resolve, all the steps they will give inside that user manual. So in that same way, whenever we are developing an application, there needs to be a user manual for that application. That user manual is nothing but your documentation. Okay, we call it as a documentation. So when you come to your second year, third year, there you people have to do the mini projects. So mini projects, what generally you people will submit means, along with the code, you people will submit the documentation. That documentation is nothing but what your project will do, how to use your project, how to operate your project, all those statements you are going to put inside the documentation. So here pseudocode generally helps to do the documentation of the coding. Okay. So as we said, your pseudocode, it is language independent. Moreover, we are not making this pseudocode specific to some particular language. Rather, you can write the pseudocode in any language. Okay, and this pseudocode, it can be understandable by programmers of different programming languages. So we are not making the pseudocode programming language specific either. Okay, programming language specific either. If you're writing an algorithm, there is a similarity when we see your algorithm and when we see your C code. Okay, it is somewhat closely related to your programming language. Of course, it is loosely coupled. Of course, it is not going to have any syntax, semantics into that, but your algorithm, it somehow related to the programming language stuff. But your pseudocode, it is again, it is not going to show even that type of behavior, even that type of relationship. It is completely loosely coupled and language independent, uh, programming language independent, everything. So when we write this pseudocode, there you will understand the purpose of using it. So quickly read these points over here. Pseudocode is an informal way of programming description. Okay, that does not require any strict programming language syntax. This we already covered. This we already discussed. Okay, then pseudocode is a methodology that allows the programmers to represent the implementation. In order to implement your algorithm, we are using this pseudocode. Then we have pseudocodes are used to represent the algorithms so that they can be interpreted by programmers irrespective to their programming language background, irrespective to their programming background or knowledge. Even if they belongs to Java programming, if they belongs to C, C++, COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, Python, whatever it is, whatever programming language is their background, irrespective to that, they can understand the problem if it is implemented, if it is described, if it is documented in pseudocode. Okay, pseudocode means it is false code. Why we have given this name? Pseudo in the sense false. Okay, pseudo in the sense it is false. Pseudocode in the sense false code. Why we have given this name means because we are not going to use any coding part inside your pseudocode. That is the reason why the name has been given. Pseudocode means no code at all. False code. False code. Okay, and it is programming language independent. And it is programming language independent. Pseudocode has no syntax like any other programming language. So if it is not having any syntax, if it is not having any specific meanings, semantic, then it cannot be compiled, it cannot be interpreted using a computer software. Okay, hope you have understood this one. It can't be compiled or interpreted by the computer. The way we are writing the programs, the way we are compiling the programs, we are executing the programs, we are expecting some output from the programs, those things you can't do with your algorithms as well as with your pseudocode. You can write them, but you cannot compile them, you cannot interpret them, you cannot see the errors inside your pseudocode or algorithm, and you cannot even expect the output from the pseudocode. Hopefully you understood. So quickly, yeah, what sort of advantages we are having with the help of this pseudocode in the sense, it can be understandable by programmers of all programming language, as we are not making any kind of close relation between a specific programming language and the pseudocode. That is the reason why the pseudocode can be understandable by many different programming language background people. Okay. So pseudocode, it acts like a bridge between the program and algorithm and flowchart. Okay. One side we are having the program and the other side we are having the algorithm or flowchart. So this pseudocode, it acts like a bridge. It acts like a bridge. Even if a lame person will read the pseudocode, he will get some idea from that pseudocode. He will get some idea from that pseudocode, where analysis of the algorithm, analysis of the program will become difficult. They will take the help of this pseudocode, because sometimes it is very much required to explain what we people are doing inside our project to the client as well, isn't it? What exactly we are going to do, what exactly we are, how we are implementing our project, that entire thing we need to discuss with our client. But as we know, our client, he is a lame person. He will not understand any programming language stuff, any logical stuff. So there, the pseudocode will help you. So if you explain the stuff, if you give the documentation to the to the customer, to the client will read the document and he will get some idea from that document. So in that way, the pseudocode will help us. Okay. Pseudocode works as a rough documentation, so the program of one developer can be understood easily by other people. So in short, in industries, the approach of documentation is essential, and that's where a pseudocode plays a vital role. Already we discussed. In industries, what we said, whenever we are purchasing a television, we are getting the documentation along with the television. So in that same way, whenever you are delivering your project, whenever you are delivering your application, okay, software application, you need to give the proper documentation along with that one. So that documentation is nothing but your pseudocode. Or in order to prepare the documentation, this pseudocode will help you. Okay. So the main goal of pseudocode is to explain what exactly each line of a program should do. So we'll describe it when we are writing a code, when we are writing a line of code in our program, what that line of code will do, we will describe with the help of this pseudocode. Okay. So by having this pseudocode, what will happen? Whatever we are constructing, whatever we are doing, the code construction, it will become an easier job. It will become an easier job for the programmer. Okay. So hopefully you understood, you got some idea, you got some understanding of what exactly this new term pseudocode means. So we will see the examples on this pseudocode so that you will get some more clarity on this pseudocode. In today's session, we discuss only this pseudocode, and further the flowchart and other stuff we'll see in our next session. I know it is taking more time because I thought of giving only 1-2 examples of algorithms, and if possible, we'll wind up. I thought of completing all these three. Pseudocode, algorithm, flowchart, your structure chart, all these things in one session. But when we started this discussion, as it is an online session, as you people are not in front of me, it is becoming very difficult for me to estimate whether you have understood the concepts or not. So that is the reason why I am taking more time. Okay. Don't you hesitate, don't you get bothered about the stuff. We'll complete on time, we'll complete everything on time, hopefully. Even if it takes like more 5 to 10 sessions, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. I want the understanding, because when we are doing something, the output is very, very important. For me, the output is very, very important. And if I deliver the lecture, it is even possible to convey the whole thing in a single session. But I don't want. I don't want to go. I don't want to rush. Okay. I want to do the stuff very slowly. Okay. So yeah, an example of C code as well as the pseudocode understanding over here I have taken. See, yes, of course, you are going to be a C programmer and you're going to learn this C language in this semester. But yeah, without the knowledge of any coding constructs, because whatever tools or whatever special instructions we are going to use inside our program, we call them as what? We call them as programming constructs. So here I'm using one programming construct, and that you don't have any idea. That you don't have any idea. So what exactly this piece of code will do? What exactly this piece of code will do? I need to sit beside the client and I need to explain this stuff. Rather, if I give this thing, rather, if I give this thing to the client, by reading this, he will get some clarity. Simply see. Over here, what we are doing, we don't know. What we are doing over, we don't know. Something we have written. If in the brackets we have written I less than 10, that we have written in normal brackets, parenthesis we call them as. Then we are using this flower bracket, okay, curly bracket, and we have written some I plus plus semicolon, then a closing curly bracket. So what exactly this code is doing? Okay, if you don't have the knowledge of C, by reading this you will not understand anything. By reading this you will not understand anything. But if I give the pseudo code along with the program code, so this is my program code and I'm giving the pseudo code over here. Now you read this one. If I is less than 10, if I is less than 10, it is a meaningful sentence, isn't it? It is a meaningful sentence. One with the knowledge of English, if he reads this statement, he will understand this. If I value is lesser than 10, then what we are doing? Increment I value by 1. If I value is less than 10, increment I value by 1. So simply we are adding 1 to I. If I value is less than 10, assume I value as 9 or assume I value as 7. Okay. If I value is 7, simply what we will do? We will come over here. If I value is less than 10, we are reading this thing, and our I value is what? I value we considered it as 7. I value we considered it as 7. I equals to 7 we are saying. Okay. And we are saying if I value is less than 10, so 7 is less than 10. Okay, it is true. Then what we are doing? Increment I value by 1. So we will make it as 8. We will make it as 8. Take another example. If I value, let us say it is 12. If I value, let us say it is 12. Then what we are doing here? Just go and see. If I value is less than 10, it is not less than 10. So simply ignore. Don't increment. Simply ignore. So likewise. So this code, it is very difficult to understand, but whereas this pseudo code, it is very easy to understand. So that difference we see when it comes to your algorithm, when it comes to your programming code, and when it comes to your pseudo code. Hope you understood this one. So now we see some of the examples on this pseudo code. Okay. So whatever algorithms we have written previously, that same examples I am taking into consideration in order to write the pseudo code. Okay. So we started with minimum complexity, isn't it? We started the stuff with minimum complexity, that by doing some simple arithmetic operations we started. So this is my first problem statement, that is design a pseudocode. Previously we said design an algorithm. So here what I am saying, design a pseudocode to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and to find the remainder of two numbers and display the result. So we have to take any two numbers into consideration, and we have to add them, subtract them, multiply them, divide them, and find out the remainder. And after finding all these things, what we have to do, we have to display them as well. So our job is very simple. So I'm going to this whiteboard application over here. So the next thing is I will take this text box. Sorry. Okay. This text box I have taken. Okay, I will keep it over here. See, as we are not going to use any formal thing, completely informal, we said. It is more informal way of representing the algorithm, or to show the implementation of algorithm, pseudocode. So now our job is to find out what the addition of two numbers. First we'll do step by step. Okay, of course we have given everything inside one single problem statement, but we have to do step by step. Okay, so the first thing is we have to write the pseudocode for adding two numbers. So see how we do the description. This program, because basically it will come inside the program, so we consider it as a program. Okay, this program uh, will allow that user to add two numbers. Okay, so what it will do, yeah, it is giving more description about the problem statement. It is giving more description about the problem statement. So what we are doing, whatever program we are writing, inside that we are writing this user manual. So by reading this, the person will understand that the program what he has opened is for adding two numbers. Okay, so next is declare variables. So when we are doing the declaration part, over there we are writing this one. Okay, declare variables num1, num2 and sum. So like this we are declaring the variables. Okay, the next thing what we are doing, read the values for num1 and num2. So we are reading the values for num1 and num2. Then add num1 and num2 and assign the result to sum. So it is more descriptive way. Whatever we have written inside the algorithm, that complete thing we are describing over here. That complete thing we are documenting over here. We are describing over here. So the next thing, yeah, if you want, you can show it like this. Okay, sum. Okay, arrow mark you can take like this. Sorry, arrow mark you can take like this. Then num1 plus num2 like this you can put. Num1 plus num2 like this you can put for your understanding. As I said, pseudocode will not have much mathematical notations. Okay, but believe me, we come across situations in our programming or in our pseudocode development, algorithm development, there some statements it will become very difficult to give in pseudocode, or it will become very difficult to give in normal English description. So over there definitely we have to go with mathematical notations only. And one more important thing I have to give it to you, this pseudocode concept, it is also an outdated one. Nowadays nobody is using in the industries, and the same principle will apply to our lab as well. So when we do this stuff in our labs, what we do, we write first the problem statement, then the algorithm, then this flow chart, and then the program. So in general, how it has to be done, if these concepts are now not outdated, then how it has to be done means, first we'll do with a problem statement, then we develop the structure chart, then algorithm, then pseudocode, then flowchart, and finally the program. So likewise it has to go. But now as your structure charts and pseudocodes, we are considering them as outdated. Okay, we are considering them as outdated. So we are going with only problem statement, algorithm, flowchart, program. Okay, problem statement, algorithm, flowchart, and program. Only these things you have to do in your lab. And all other things like pseudocode, structure chart, these things we don't need. These things we are studying only for your exam purpose, external exam purpose, because they will ask questions from this pseudocode as well. Okay, it's a 2 marks question. What is the difference between algorithm and pseudocode? Likewise they will ask. Okay, so don't bother about it, don't worry about it, because we have much of the stuff, we have much of the material to prepare ourselves for the examinations. It is too early to think of it. Just go with the concepts and have some idea in your mindset. Okay, uh, next what we have to do after getting the sum, print, isn't it? Printing is the part. Print the value of sum on the output screen. Print the value of sum on the out variable sum, because it is a variable, you can put even a variable over here. Variable sum onto the onto the output screen. Likewise, you can do your first pseudocode. Okay, this is our first pseudocode. So here I am keeping that one first. So like this you can. Hopefully you understood, you got some clarity, you got some idea what exactly we people are doing over here. So okay. So as you can see, it is completely looking like a description only. You're not following any steps, nothing. It is completely a description only, a documentation. Okay, a documentation. Any person, even if he don't have the knowledge of programming, even if you don't know mathematical notations, if he read it, he will get some idea. Okay. The thing is, he needs to know that native language. In what language we have written this pseudocode, that language he needs to understand. Okay, hopefully you understood. So the next pseudocode, next problem statement, what we have, yeah, the same thing as we are doing over here, sum, you can do for sub also, I mean subtraction. Okay, declare the variable num1, num2 and sub for subtraction. Read the values of num1 and num2. Add, no, here instead of add, what we have to put, subtract. Subtract num1 and num2, num1 and no, num1, uh, or we can say subtract num2 from num1. So over here, change the symbol to minus. That's it. Here, assign the value to sub. Print the value of sub like this. So next it will become multiplication, then division, then modulo division. That is nothing but remainder operator, that percentile operator. We call it as modulo division. Okay, hopefully you understood. So quickly we go and we see what is our next problem statement. Okay, we have done all these things. Addition I have shown to you, and doing subtraction also I have shown to you. Multiplication, division and remainder, calculating the remainder, it is very easy. It is very easy. Just go to the next thing. What we have, the problem statement number 2, design a pseudocode to calculate the bank interest of a bank deposit. So it is also very simple. Interest of a bank deposit, how we can do? Take down. Interest of a bank deposit. So this is our second pseudocode. Here I am writing. So again, what we have to put, the program will allow the user uh, to calculate the interest of a, or interest for a bank deposit, of a bank deposit, or for a bank deposit, for a bank deposit. So likewise, so here also the same things we follow. Yeah, hit enter and hit enter and write. Yeah, what we need to declare the variables. Yes, we need like amount, PTR by 100, isn't it? Amount, years, then a rate of interest, that is a rate, and the interest calculated interest. So then read values for amount, comma, years, and rate of interest. Rate, that's it. A rate. Then calculate, because we need to calculate interest using the formulae or with formulae, because by seeing this the person will understand that we are using some mathematical formulae. Okay, calculate interest with formulae. Interest equals to, what we have to do, amount multiplied with years multiplied with rate divide with 100, PTR by 100, full stop. Then print the value of what? The value of interest variable, or variable interest, like this also you can say. print the value of variable interest uh, on the output screen. Yeah, very soon you will understand what this term variable means. So that's it. So these, like this, we have written the description for the second problem statement. Right, like this, we have created the pseudo code for the second problem statement, that is calculating the interest of a bank deposit. So finding the temperature, whether it is above or below the freezing point. It is also very simple. So let us quickly do it. Taking this one. So finding whether the temperature is above or below the freezing point. That is our third problem statement. So this one. Design a pseudocode to determine whether the temperature is below or above the freezing point. So how we can? So simply first you have to write the description for the program. So this program will allow the user to determine whether the temperature is above or below the freezing point. Freezing point. Full stop. Next, declare the variables. Declare variables. Variable, only one variable is enough, I think. Temp. Then, if at all, if temperature or if temp value is lesser than 32 degree, okay, 32 degree Fahrenheit, then print a message. We are printing a message, isn't it? Print a message, temperature is below the freezing point. Below the freezing point. And if at all it is greater, otherwise, if at all it is greater, we are going otherwise. Otherwise, print a message that okay, in double quotations you put temperature is above the freezing point, like this. That's it. So this is this description, this pseudo code is for your third problem statement, that is finding whether the temperature is below or above the freezing point. So this much of description if you write, this will become your pseudo code for the third problem statement. So next what we have, next problem statement, we have design a pseudocode to find the biggest number in two numbers. This is also very simple. The fourth problem statement, I will take it down. Okay, so how we can go? Yes, this program will allow the user to find the biggest number in two. Biggest number in two numbers. So this is what the program will do. Here also what we have to do, declare any two numbers, num1 and num2. As I said, it is an informal description. You can write anyway. Like this also you can. Or declare num1 and num2. Like that also you can. Declare variables num1, num2. Like that also you can write. So yeah, here I will remove and declare variables. Huh? Variables num1, num2. Then what we have to do? Read the values for num1 and num2. Next what we have to do? Yeah, if at all num1 is greater than num2, print yeah, here you take num1 value is like that also you can. Num1 value, if num1 value is greater than num2 value, huh? Then what we have to do? Print, then print a message what? Num1 is big. Okay, num1 is big. Otherwise, yeah, otherwise print a message what? Num2 is big. So like this. So this is your pseudocode for fourth problem statement, which is finding the biggest number in 2. Finding the biggest number in 2, your fourth problem statement we have done. So what is our next one? So this one we have done. Next, fifth problem statement is design a pseudocode to determine whether the student is passed in the exam or not. Okay. So this thing, yeah, it is very simple to check whether the student has passed. I mean, the same assumptions we will do, like we consider like 4 or 5 subject marks, and based on that marks, based on the average, if the average is above 40% or 60%, then the student is passed. If it is below 60%, then the student failed. So like that we do the assumptions. So here this, yeah, that entire thing we have to write. This program will allow the excuse me user to determine whether whether a student uh, passed in the exam or not by considering six different subject marks. Six different subject marks. So this is what we are doing inside our program. So that we need to give the clarity. With in description, we need to give the clarity that we have given. So next thing, declare variables. As we said, six variables, six subjects: M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, and M6. To calculate the average, we need AVG as well. Okay, so that I forgot to mention here. So comma M6 and AVG. So likewise we have to declare 7 variables, 6 for subjects and 1 to find the average. Then read the values for M1 comma M2 comma M3 comma M4 comma M5 and M6. We'll be reading values only for these thing. Again, calculate, okay, calculate AVG using the formulae uh, AVG equals to, yes, that same formula we have to write. Total sum of the elements by divided by the elements. Okay, so divided by the number of elements. So M1 plus M2 plus M3 plus M4 plus M5 plus M6 divide with 6. Okay, then what we have to do? If average value is greater than 60, okay, greater than 60, then a message print a message like PASS, pass. Okay, otherwise print a message what? Fail. So like this we can do. Okay, like this we can do. We can find out whether a student is passed in the examinations or failed. So this is our fifth problem statement, and we got the clarity. By using pseudocode, we got the clarity. So the next problem statement is design a pseudocode to find whether the given number is even or odd. And this will be our last pseudocode, I guess. So quickly I will do and I will wind up this class. Okay. So go to the next okay, fresh page you take, and like this. So here you can start writing. So to find whether the given number is even or odd, so basically we have to find out the remainder. If the remainder is 0, then the number is even, and if the remainder is 1, and then the number is, okay, we have to divide with 2 and we have to check for the remainder. If the remainder is 0, then the number is even. If the remainder is 1, then the number is odd. So that logic will apply over here, that logic we use over here. And how we are writing pseudocode, quickly you see, this is for sixth problem statement. Okay, this program will allow the user to find whether the given number whether the given number is even or odd. Okay, so like this. So first what we have to do, declare variable num, that's it, num, declare variable num, then read the value for num. Okay, read the value for num. Okay, next thing, after reading, if a remainder, okay, calculate remainder. Okay, we need one more variable over here. Okay, like this also you can do, or we have other ways also. As I said, there is no single way, there is no single solution for a problem. We can have many number of problems. So I'm declaring two variables now, num and remainder, and I'm reading the value for num only. So next thing, calculate. We are calculating the remainder. Calculate the remainder by using the formulae. Okay, formulae, a reminder, yeah, that you put in double quotes, reminder equals to num modulo division 2, num modulo division 2. Okay, so after calculating the remainder, so what we have to do, if rem value is equal to 0, or you can write like this, equal to 0. Okay, then print a message num is even. Otherwise, or you can instead of otherwise, we are making the stuff very clear now, or otherwise only you use otherwise. Otherwise what we are doing, otherwise print a message num is odd. That's it. Like this we are doing. Okay, the last pseudo code for our last problem statement, sixth problem statement, that is finding whether the given number is even or odd. So this we have done. So in our next class, hopefully we'll start the flow charting concept. Okay, and we'll move forward. Thank you very much, students.